Well, there's no human-made object orbiting our planet bigger than the International Space Station, or ISS for short. I think some would argue there's nothing more fascinating either. The ISS speeds through space at 5 miles per second. Imagine getting from LA to New York in less than 10 minutes. It takes about 1.5 hours to complete one orbit around our planet, and it does this a little over 15 times per day. The ISS is a real speed racer, flying about 250 miles above Earth. And don't forget, there's a whole crew of astronauts in there. The station is shared by the space agencies of the United States, Canada, Europe, Russia, and Japan, hence the whole international thing. The purpose of this joint effort is to conduct research for future space missions, such as more trips to the Moon and maybe even to Mars someday. And I'm sure it would take a whole global effort to keep this bad boy running. The estimated cost as of 2010 was $150 billion. The cost per crew member per day is $7.5 million. No wonder the station has been dubbed the priciest human-made structure in history. As of March 2019, 236 people have served aboard the ISS, and they collectively represent 18 different countries. It's had people on board continually since November 2000. The ISS usually houses crews made up of 3 to 6 individuals, and one expedition typically lasts for about 6 months before an astronaut is relieved by someone else. That's when it can get really interesting, because there might be up to 13 crew members on board at once while they're sort of changing shifts. But I imagine astronauts don't have to worry about their toes getting stepped on in a crowded place, huh? This impressive structure is often visible from Earth, even during the day, since sunlight shines on its reflective surfaces. And in case you'd like to see it, there are smartphone apps that show you when and where you can see the ISS on its next flyby over your town. Perhaps that's what helped Washington-based photographer Rainey Colacurcio snap an amazing shot of the ISS flying in front of the Sun. Just imagine, our Sun is almost 900,000 miles across. That means you could fit 109 Earth-sized objects along its diameter. So when the station crossed paths with our own bright star, it looks so tiny in comparison to that orange backdrop that's still humongous despite being almost 100 million miles away. It's an incredible picture, and it even got NASA's attention. They recently chose it as their astronomy photo of the day. They also included a statement explaining that it's not really unusual for the ISS to transit the Sun. The shocking thing is that Colacurcio was able to get her timing and equipment just right for a spectacular image. Another interesting detail is that there were no sunspots visible when she snapped the picture at that moment. That's a pretty rare occurrence, but now would be a better time than ever for there to be absolutely no spots on the Sun. You see, our star is currently in a phase called a solar minima, when you don't really see much sunspot activity. Yes, sunspots are temporary, so they come and go, sometimes lasting for months. They appear because of magnetic fields reducing the temperature on the Sun's surface. They look darker because they're cooler. Hotter areas burn bright, kind of like when you heat metal and it glows orange. These spots might look teeny tiny from here on Earth, but they can actually be as big as a planet. Still, nobody knows why there aren't any spots in the photo, even if the Sun is going through a regular phase of decreased activity. These periods, known as a solar cycle, usually last an average of 11 years. But get this, when there's a lot of activity on the Sun's surface, it can create auroras, affect electric grids, and even interfere with radio signals here on Earth. Anyway, Colacurcio's picture is actually a composite of 2 separate photos. One was of the space station crossing paths with the Sun, and the other was an image of the surface of the Sun itself. Both pictures were taken simultaneously and then sort of sewn together. And guess what? You can also take a picture of the ISS. You'll first need to set up a tripod or a mount in a place that won't experience any sort of vibrations. Set up a webcam on the mount so that it's looking through a telescope. Use an app such as ISS Transit Finder to find the station's path. You then shoot a short video magnified through the telescope. After that, use an image enhancing program to make a composite of all the frames to pull together an awesome shot that could get you some praise and respect from NASA. Or, of course, you can do it the easy way and just grab a DSLR camera or some other camera that can take long exposures. The most important thing is that the tripod or mount doesn't budge the whole time. Find the ISS and basically point and shoot when the station is passing through. So, you look at the picture and you might wonder, what's going on in that little TIE fighter-looking black speck against all that orange bubbly hotness? Glad you asked. The current ISS crew has been working on growing plants, and they plan to grow some Espanola chili peppers this November. Because, posing for an epic picture in front of the sun wasn't hot enough as is. Jokes aside, NASA is looking for something hardy that doesn't grow too tall. Now, this is a big undertaking because it'll be their first fruit grown entirely in space. Growing food is essential for astronauts on long-term missions, and fruits are perfect, especially these chilies, since they're packed with health-boosting vitamin C. Space gardens will be a major step up from the vacuum-packed food we've come to associate with an astronaut's typical diet. Plus, it's just downright necessary to grow from scratch when you're on a major time-consuming mission, like building a lunar station or colonizing Mars. A space garden would also be a way to produce oxygen, recycle compostable waste, and maybe make space residents feel a little more at home. In 2015, astronaut Scott Kelly and others made history by growing zinnias as part of a gardening program. They used a contraption called Veggie, which pretty much serves as a little onboard greenhouse for plant cultivation in space. Veggie is bringing to light the effects of low gravity and radiation on plants. It also helps astronauts determine how much water the plants need and how to manage things like mold. The crew has to monitor the lighting and moisture levels really carefully. I mean, it's hard enough keeping a houseplant alive, so just imagine how precise they need to be in a space station with no direct sunlight or even gravity. Seeds are first planted in Kevlar pouches coated in Teflon. These pouches, or plant pillows as they're called, contain soil, fertilizer, water wicks, and of course the seeds. Veggie works together with the Advanced Plant Habitat, a smaller automated lab that has more than 180 sensors and automatic watering. So yeah, ISS astronauts are up there trying to create a viable food source for us in the future once we start colonizing other celestial bodies. Currently, there are plans for the ISS to be operational through 2024, and maybe even to 2028. But after that, there's nothing on the agenda yet. It may be recycled and used for future projects such as other space stations. Until then, we can all just applaud the important work they're doing and snap a cool picture when we see the right opportunity. So how about you? Would you like to visit the International Space Station? Let me know in the comments below. If you learned something new today, then give this video a like and share it with a friend. But hey, don't go starting your own space garden just yet. We have over 2,000 cool videos for you to check out. Just click this left or right video and enjoy. Stay on the bright side of life.